I like to think of yearly anime as a pyramid. At the bottom are the unremarkable shows. Good, bad, mid, classify them however you do like, but these were ignored by the vast majority of anime viewers, and those that did watch them concluded they weren't worth talking about. Panomichi was one of these for me. You probably forgot about this kind of show as soon as you finished it, type B. The next level up is the remarkably bad shows. Shows that were so bad or so missed their potential that they were worth talking about for that reason. Metallic Rouge is the clear highlight here. But realistically, these will be forgotten by the masses by the end of the year, and that'll be for the best, unless you hold a grudge like I do and make a video about how Guilty Crown ruined your life over a decade later. Above that are the relevant shows. Again, good, bad, mid, whatever, but here it's stuff that had an audience, a sizable one even, but failed to capture the zeitgeist. You'll find a lot of sequels to popular anime in this category. And at the top, all of the shows that are Anime of the Year contenders. The ones that 5 years from now, folks will rightfully say were both popular in their time and deserve to be watched in 2030. I'd argue this is a group of about 10 shows that includes Apothecary Diaries, Frieren, Dungeon Meshi, UFO Season 3, and so on. You loved Losing Heroines and look back and have those as your best of the year for 2024? I would be shocked if anyone blinked twice. And because of that fact, this is unsurprisingly like 80% of the discourse despite being 5% of the shows. And with award season coming up, it's even more concentrated. You probably noticed that I skipped a level here. The second tier of the pyramid is the good, remarkable shows that were unpopular. The shows that were on the whole overlooked but shouldn't have been. And that in half a decade folks will hopefully remember as hidden gems and mentioned in the same breath as the capstones. Last year's key example for me was Overtake, a great character drama wrapped up in a racing show that was far closer to something like Sangatsu no Lion than it was Redline, with the exploration of its core theme, maturing and overtaking the person you used to be and your past trauma generally, handled beautifully. And statistically, but not literally, no one watched it. And I know that's true because Alan's video on it, a review that I think is respectfully done and has good insight, even if it misses the thematic forest for the non-racing trees, is the most viewed for the show, just shy of 5,000 views. And that's why I need to make this video. There's a place for me to make videos on your Frierens and your Oshinokos, and do not worry, there will be Apothecary Season 2 content here, I promise. But looking back on the year, it's a mistake if I don't add my terrible singing voice to the chorus for these shows that statistically got skipped, and that I was the target audience for. And in that regard, the most hidden, most gemmy of those is by far Yatagarasu, the Raven Does Not Choose Its Master. Yatagarasu is a fantasy political drama operating on two story pillars. First, the matter of succession in the mythical kingdom of Yamauchi, a land in which all of the citizens are Yatagarasu, three-legged corvids who shapeshift into humans. The future Kinu, the title for the ruler of the land, is not the Kinu's eldest child who was born to the empress, but is instead the second son and child of a now-deceased concubine due to a prophecy that dubbed him a true golden raven. This is wildly unpopular with certain noble families and powerful people in the empress's orbit, and thus the crown prince has to battle assassination attempts and other grabs at his future power while gaining enough allies to survive. The second pillar is the matter of consort, who will become the crown prince's wife and gain influence for their house by filling that role, a matter of selection that is inexorably linked to the succession fight, as who gets sent to possibly be chosen must work within their family's plans against the crown prince, while attempting to have alternate plans in case they go sideways. And that's even before the internal battles between the women vying for the prince's hand. This is, as far as court dramas go, pretty standard fare, and Yatagarasu is more than aware of these genre conventions, lightly encouraging you to make assumptions about its setting, its characters, its conflicts, and reinforcing those subtly. One of our main characters, Asebi, slots into our trope expectations perfectly. She's the innocent, kinda airheaded protagonist and serves as our lens into the consort selection process, as she's pretty quickly established as being there for the quote-unquote right reasons, in that she's truly in love with the crown prince, while the three other women are there out of obligation or for the power it would give their families. It's also a great choice for lead because as the closest thing to a fish out of water, Asebi needs to have truly basic things explained to her, like the royal family's deal, which is very useful as our audience surrogate since there's so much we need to learn. But Yatagarasu knows it would be boring if it played everything straight, and so it plays on your expectations to surprise and delight the audience. Our other main character, Yukiya, is originally portrayed as the lazy second son of a northern chief, a layabout who only uses his slightly clever talents to get revenge on those who treat his people badly and to get out of stuff he doesn't want to do. Just to reveal that he is actually far more talented than his brother, not lazy at all, and only pretends to be incompetent so that he can silence any possible succession argument, wanting to support the future chief as his strongest pillar, which is, in fairness, another trope, but it's a good early example of the show playing on your assumptions and has incredible synergy when he becomes the attendant to another second son, but this one is the crown prince who has taken the top spot from the older brother. That has really interesting personal conflict, and it pushes Yukiya to become his best self. So much happens in this series, from assassination plots to actual murders, schemes within schemes, but it never loses sight of its core. It is always pulling at some thread that you have assumed was incontestable, usually because the story acted like that was the case, only to reveal that you are sitting not on a throne of truths, but on a hammock of nothingness, plunging you into yet another surprising revelation. What Yatagarasu excels at in regard to the drama is how exceptional it is at conveying its conflicts through every aspect of the medium. Let's take a scene from episode 4 as the example. The Empress, via her husband's authority, has summoned the four houses and her son, Natsuka, to the Kinu's inner chamber as to disinherit the crown prince and put her eldest son on the throne. Our prince has not been summoned to the meeting, and so arrives late to find a locked door. And inside, the imperial secretary has called upon the Kinu's authority to vote on the succession rights. This is do or die time, and the lighting shifts to a magical blue as unsettling music gives way to Wakamiya commanding the door itself to open, where bells announce his entrance and the lock is undone without any physical intervention. We had been told previously that a true golden raven, the trait that made the crown prince usurp his brother's position, was special, and this reinforces that reality as he enters the room. The sound design is incredible as the echoing of his final footstep meshes with the layered strings, and Natsuka's eyes opening match a deep drum beat to signal battle start. But before anything can truly happen, the crown prince steps forward to speak to his father, who is behind a screen. And the power dynamics here are magnificent. Because the Kinu is sitting, Wakamiya has the height advantage, played up further by the camera angle, but the reverse shot is a thing of beauty. The screen made the Kinu a bit of an afterthought in the scene composition, fully obscuring his face and making it clear that he's just letting the vassals operate, his wife being the one who told the imperial secretary to do this. However, when Wakamiya is behind the screen and we're in the Kinu's perspective, the eyes are commanding and threatening, and the crown prince says to step aside and let him ascend to the throne, which causes the lord of the realm to lash out like a child, pushing down the screen and yelling as the crown prince stoically tells him, "Good work," causing his father to collapse to the ground, powerless, in a wide shot that perfectly conveys the transfer of authority even before Wakamiya sends him out of the room and takes the throne literally. The pan up is perfect for that, but here's where it gets interesting, because Natsuka takes this opportunity to counterattack, playing devoted son to Wakamiya's unkind treatment of their father. And when the crown prince implies Natsuka wants the throne, Natsuka's statement of support for his brother is played over shots of his overturned reflection in ball bearings, as though to say that these are the inverse of his feeling. Wakamiya takes advantage of the situation, asking for his fealty, which Natsuka does despite his aide's objection, though that does not stop Natsuka's hatred-filled gaze from following the crown prince out the door, and the inverted reflection in marble as he muses about the 1 year to the prince's ascension perfectly plays the double loyalty. The stuff that's impossible to get across here because of copyright is the pacing. It's almost painful waiting for Natsuka to bow, the way the music ebbs and flows throughout the scene to empower the Kinu's meltdown and subsequent loss. The change in color palette in the flashback to the Empress to give it an eerie quality, the sharp shadows that create beautiful compositions. It's filthy, and frankly, it isn't even the best example in the show, just the one I could talk about without spoiling everything. The writing to me is what sells the show, but the direction is not far behind. And while its bread and butter is definitely suspense, there are quite a few scenes of extremely well-timed comedy in here too. And, as I said earlier about the show happy to play on your expectations, the direction is part of that, playing into court drama genre tropes. But even if the court drama doesn't appeal to you, the characters very well should. Yukiya is a perfect main character, extremely compelling in his desires, his fears, and most importantly, his sense of justice and duty. He is the perfect foil for the crown prince, who starts off as cold and detached, whereas Yukiya is brazenly emotional to nearly a fault. But we see more sides of the future Kinu as they build trust and, sure enough, loyalty, even as the prince drives Yukiya completely insane. The prince's unwavering confidence in his purpose, the almost mystical nature of his existence. There's a line midway through the series where he says to Yukiya, who wants him to live and give up the throne to stop the assassination attempts, "If you take away being Kinu away from me, I'll have nothing left," captures the totality of this character's relationship with his existence. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit magnetic, drawing the cast and audience to him. Asebi is also a perfect character for her storyline, but mostly because she kind of just exists. That's not to say there aren't intriguing things about her. A sheltered noblewoman competing with smart opponents is always engaging from an underdog perspective. Her exploration of the past Cherry Blossom Palaces speaks to a rot in the nobility, and episodes 12 and 13 are straight up two of the best episodes of anime last year, bar none, and are in fact the reason why Yatagarasu is more than just a very good also-ran, but instead one of my top 5 anime from the year, period. But her wallflower nature allows the other characters in the selection process to take center stage. Hamayu has a biting, no-nonsense personality that sees through the games and noble BS, but always in a supportive way to the other 3 women. More than anyone else, Hamayu gets it. She is aware of the world both inside and out, and very clearly wants absolutely nothing to do with all the stuff that permeates nobility. Shiratama is the most obsessed with winning, coming off as the primary antagonist, scheming and blackmailing, the thematic counterbalance to Asebi in that she is explicitly there for power and not for love, having quashed her feelings in pursuit of her family's desires. Rie Kugamiya puts together an unbelievable performance to sell this character, and the ending of episode 8 is a singularly impressive scene by her. And last but certainly not least, my favorite, Matsuho no Susuki, the one who really believes in the ideals of the Cherry Blossom Palace. That to become worthy of the Crown Prince, one must be the most noble, to refine yourself through the competition with the others, that your love for him must be shown in every action and will win you his heart when it's all said and done. It is a mindset that has her think less of Asebi and Hamayu at the start, the airhead and the one who acts the least noble, and her ideals threaten to be burned away from her as the trials and tribulations of the selection process continue, but she's my favorite character for a reason. Using these relationships with Asebi and Hamayu to allow the kind heart to shine through, and all of the setbacks are merely opportunities to refine herself, not for someone else, but for herself. All 4 of the women in the selection process thematically counterbalance each other in interesting ways, a competition that is also a sisterhood. It's just incredibly interesting when it takes center stage, helped of course by, a murder or 2. Yatagarasu is the hidden gem of 2024 that will be sticking with me for a long time to come. Its writing is some of the best this year has to offer, with moments that allowed stellar direction to make iconic. The world of Yamauchi comes to life in the beautiful backgrounds and lore that feels mythical and lived in at the same time. Its soundtrack gorgeous, tense, haunting, luxurious, and otherworldly as needed. There was nothing quite like it this year, an incredible feat given that Apothecary Diaries scratched many of the same itches, but Yatagarasu stands alone as the thriller. There is no place it wants you more than when you think you've figured it out, just to upend what you thought you knew was true. And there's nothing quite like watching the 2 storylines, the 2 pillars of the court drama, crash into each other, and then the show simply continues on. Because the last third of the show, the portion that I can't talk about because I want you to experience it for yourself, is just a killer mystery that raises so many interesting questions, while placing our cast in new environments so that they can continue to reveal their true natures to themselves and each other. Statistically, the majority of people who watch this won't watch Yatagarasu. I'm no fool into thinking that my recommendation matters more than any other voice yelling into the void about it. But you can be the outlier. You can be the one who watches the best show of 2024 that no one else watched. And on the off chance that you will be, thank you.